Hello everyone and welcome back to the Genshin Impact Preludes series. As I've said before, this is a series all about the backstories of the playable characters in Genshin Impact. I will only be going to the stories in the character pages, so there may be potential story spoilers for some characters. This also means I won't be going into the manga or story unless their events are mentioned in the character stories. Also, if you like this video, consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot and I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, today's video is all about Yun-Jin, so sit back and relax as I read you her stories. Heiyu Tea House has been a popular leisure spot for the people of Liyue. Its business thrives on two things. One of them being its boss Fan Air's business acumen in inviting a top-notch tea master who tells the best stories of all. Besides that, there is also the performance of the acclaimed troupe, Yun-Han Opera Troupe. Its director and soul, a famed opera singer named Yun-Jin, takes the stage at the tea house from time to time. While one can always get delicious delicacies or good storytelling as long as one knows where to look, Yun-Jin's performance does not just await one there. As a result, you can always find fans of Yun-Jin's trying their luck at Heiyu Tea House. While waiting for Yun-Jin's performance, they discuss her past performances and how they feel about them. As such, more people frequent the tea house, with 9 out of 10 of them being Yun-Jin's fans. Fan Air couldn't be more satisfied with the state of affairs. Liyue opera is one of the traditional arts of Liyue that has been passed down for generations. Liyue opera enjoys a long history, and it has gone through quite some changes from what it was originally created to be. The good thing is, the Liyue opera we see now retains the sophisticated sounding vocals and retrieve the varied melodies of old. Liyue opera performers usually perform in troupes, and the most acclaimed one of them all is the Yun-Han Opera Troupe. For generations, the troupe has been run by the historic House of Yun, and its current director is a prominent figure in Liyue Harbor, the opera singer Yun-Jin. Yun-Jin made her name at a young age when she stunned her audience with a sweet voice and lively costumes in her debut performance. The more she performs, the better honed her animated and dynamic style becomes. Whether it's a delicate and dignified young lady, or a mighty and honorable heroine, she can play any role. What's even rarer is that this young actress is also a playwright. Other than the Divine Damsel of Devastation, the Yun-Han Opera Troupe has performed many other new plays in recent years, all of which were written by Yun-Jin. With her superb skill, it is no wonder why longtime opera fans often visit Heiyu Tea House to ask about Yun-Jin's performance schedule, when their starving ears demand good opera singing. Yun-Jin was born in a family of Liyue opera performers. Her father is a playwright, and her mother used to be a famous opera singer in Liyue Harbor, taking up the mantle from Yun-Jin's grandfather. In such an environment, Yun-Jin was exposed to Liyue opera at a very early age, often amusing herself by echoing her mother's singing. A childhood hobby, as many would tend to believe, seems unlikely to be developed into a lifelong career. Yet, Yun-Jin proved to be an exception. She was serious about it and insisted on learning the art. Her parents were delighted to see their daughter's determination and imparted everything they knew about Liyue opera to her. As such, Yun-Jin started learning the opera early. However, Liyue opera is a complex art that takes years of perfection to master. So even for a child as gifted as Yun-Jin, what awaited her was sweat and tears. While ordinary children might shy away from the pain of hamstring stretches and the tedium of memorizing lyrics, little Yun-Jin hung tough and became quite accomplished. By the time she finished all the subjects in Liyue opera, veterans of Yun-Han Opera Troupe who watched her grow up couldn't help but exclaim, "Yet another rising opera star is about to shine upon Liyue Harbor." Many veterans of the Yun-Han Opera Troupe first joined the troupe when Yunjin's grandfather was in charge. They have remained committed since Yunjin took the troupe over. Their love for the art of Liyue opera is so deep, perhaps even to an excessive degree, that they frown upon any other forms of music performance, including rock and roll. Yunjin, however, thinks otherwise. She finds that rock and roll vibrates with vigor, and even became friends with the rock and roll musician Jinyan. Elders of the troupe are glad to follow Yunjin's lead during rehearsals, but when it comes to daily life, they treat her like their little granddaughter. "Sweetie, listen to us. No spicy food, it hurts your voice. Meat is fine, but refrain from eating too much or you'll put on weight. If you really can't help yourself, have more shrimp. Stay away from the rock and roll thing." All they know is yelling. These caring elders will nag Yunjin about attending rock and roll performance for hours on end. Faced with the impossible mission of persuading stubborn granddads and grannies, Yunjin has to be creative. While it's not an option to go to Jinyan's performance, it's perfectly acceptable to visit Fan Er's adopted daughter Jinyan and discuss Liyue opera with her. The elders are not fond of the rock star Jinyan, but they have taken a shine to Jinyan, the adopted daughter of Fan Er. "I've heard that Jinyan can cook and do embroidery. She must be a polite and accomplished young lady. Yunjin may be able to pick up a thing or two from hanging out with her. How capital." Yunjin has long got Fan Er to agree on the details concerning the made-up Jinyan, so don't worry, no one's gonna call her out on this. Yunjin goes by many names. To some, she is Director Yun, and to others, Sir Yun. They call her Director Yun for her leadership of the Yun-Han Opera Troupe. Though there are managers to help with everyday work, Yunjin is the one who makes the big decisions. She thus earned the name of Director Yun from people in business circles. As for Sir Yun, that is another story. When Yunjin's grandfather was in charge of the Yun-Han Opera Troupe, longtime fans respectfully addressed him as Sir Yun. After Yunjin took charge later, these fans frequented her performances as well. There was once after a show when an impressed fan half joked with others, "The Sir Yun we have now sings rather well too." A voice from the crowd immediately countered by saying, "How can you address a young girl as Sir?" Upon hearing this, Yunjin curved her lips. Those who are born early learn early. They are naturally better informed than others. It's every bit right for them to be referred to as Sirs. But one doesn't have to be old to be knowledgeable. Besides, why can't a girl be knowledgeable? You are quick in mind and speech, and are thus qualified to be called Sir. I have answered your eminent question. That also makes me a Sir. Her remarks impressed the fans present, who shared this story to many. In the end, everyone followed the trend and started to call her Sir Yun whether they had or had not met her in person. Many traditional Liyue operas revolve around the theme of the Adepti and Rex Lapis himself. A prime example would be the Divine Damsel of Devastation. People are full of wonderful fantasies about the Adepti, and would like to see the representation of their joy and anger on stage. Thus, stories portraying them make up the majority of the repertoire in Liyue opera. When Yunjin was young, she would find these stories engaging, but having exhausted every Adepta legend in her performing career, her take on theming gradually changed. Why not experiment with other themes? For instance, stories of our own, perhaps? Stories that tell of our earthly joys and sorrows. Songs that sing of the hatreds and passions of humanity. Maybe these stories of mere mortals may not make it as classics of Liyue opera, but there will always be some people who remember them. In love, our thoughts linger. In rage, our hearts burn. In an obsession, our minds go astray. These emotions, good or bad, lift the veil that covers our feelings and souls. Yunjin is no adeptus. She can never put herself in the shoes of the Adepti, yet she's endowed with the most accurate and sensitive grasp of human emotions. So, let me sing of human stories. May my brush be the brush of all hearts, and my voice the voice of all souls. This is the unspoken wish that Yun-Han has so far only kept to herself. Her ancestors used to work as weaponsmiths instead of opera performers. Later, someone in the family who was tired of weapon forging grew an interest in the performing arts. By the time it came to Yun-Jin's generation, few of the Yuns still practiced the art of forging. Many forged things have been passed down though. The lock-shaped copper pendant that Yun-Jin carries with her is one such item. In her childhood, she often practiced dancing for a whole day under the scorching heat of the sun. Sometimes she would even faint from the exhaustion. Her parents' hearts ached for her, but they knew well that she had to go through such things to lay a solid foundation. So, instead of stopping her, they gave Yun-Jin the lock in the hopes that it would keep fortune and health within her. Since then, the lock has never left Yun-Jin's side. Before every performance, it is a routine for Yun-Jin to reminisce about those days of bittersweet training by cleaning the lock with great care. It feels as if she was caressing the devoted heart of the little Yun-Jin who was learning the opera. Shortly after Yun-Jin's debut, Yun-Jin quickly got the hang of stage performance through dozens of shows and her great intelligence. At the time, her appearance meant a whole night of applause for performance. However, the more she played, the more she felt at a loss. These were not the operas she wanted to perform. In every opera, the pitch and tempo would invariably go either up or down to indicate drama or doldrum. As the time passed by, the visages of the various characters seemed to blend and blur. The music would come on, followed by a neat dance and then her sweet voice. The girl in the Divine Damsel of Devastation seemed no different from the Fisherman's Daughter in String of Pearls. While the audience did not object, Yun-Jin was not satisfied. Is skillful singing and dancing all it takes to tell a moving tale? What broke her bottleneck was an opera named Snow Treading. It was a monodrama about a strenuous walk in the snow. It happened to be a snowy day when Yun-Jin first performed the opera. Having gone astray in the snow, the character felt lost and lamented her helplessness. Somehow, the snow in the story seemed to fall into reality. Yun-Jin, who had also found herself adrift, felt as if she had become her character. That was what she had been looking for, the feeling of leaving herself behind and walking in the shoes of the many characters she played. To breathe, to live, and to smile just like them. That was the opera she had wanted to sing, the story she had wanted to tell. One about true emotions, a world built on tens of thousands of individuals who live lives of their own. Yun-Jin could no longer recall how she returned backstage after the epiphany. All she knew was that when she finally had time to take off her costume, she found a vision in her sleeve. And those are all of Yun-Jin's stories. She doesn't appear in the Liyue Archon quests, but she does have her own hangout event, and has also appeared in the Interlude Archon quest chapter, The Crane Returns on the Wind. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all in the next video.